as we are starting this race on lap 4 with a safety car restart. A safety car start, technically. We did have a corner of racing before the safety car came out due to dry tyres, wet circuit, a lot of crashes. As Bunnies didn't pit, the only driver on dry tyres, did not pit at when the entire field did for the intermediate tyres, and Bunnies has taken the lead and is off turn 1. Bunnies off turn 1, Godzilla now in a net lead. You may be wondering how the hell has this order ended up. James got held up in the pit lane. As a result, Godzilla has been able to get up into the lead of the race. As Godzilla now is still leading, as James got back up into second. Surely he's still the favourite for the win here. As the field come through, here is Jarno. And, oh, was that Charlie with a mistake? Charlie got most of the field on the back of him here. Thomas on the back of Charlie. Charlie crashed in qualifying and had a bad qualifying session. But looks like he is going to get it back. Sorry, not Charlie, Crashaw. Same with Thomas. And, you know, I might just call him Charlie. It's easier. Crashaw is Charlie. Why always Pips is Thomas. It's easier to say their actual names because they've got long PSNs. So Thomas on the back of Charlie now. How is the rest of the field doing? As there's, there must have been some contact to the hairpin there. I think I may have seen a bit of debris. As Kimmy is wheel to wheel with Josh. We're on board here with Kyle. As now off board, watching this battle. Down the back straight. What will Josh do? Is he going to be able to fight back? He's going to go to the inside line. Josh trying to get Red Bull's first points of the season. He's up the inside. Will there be any contact? Doesn't look like there will be as Kimmy jumps the chicane a bit. That's going to back up the entire field here. As Godzilla sets the fast lap of the race. And James all over the back of him at this stage of the race. Josh, will he go to the inside of turn 1? He looks like he is. He's sent it. And it's contact. He's forced Kimmy off. He's forced Kimmy off. The entire field here all closing in as Kyle now looking for a chance on Josh. As now Charlie behind Kimmy. Kimmy going slightly wide there. Kimmy has lost out a ton of time here. As Charlie around the outside of Kimmy. Can he pull it off? Through here. Where Charlie crashed in qualifying. Kimmy's going to send it to the inside. Will he pull off the move? Can he pull off the move? As that is the fry of Kimmy wide. He wasn't able to do it and he's dropped out of the points now. Thomas in the Red Bull, currently in 10th place, trying to get points here. Robert in the other Renault behind him. As Ivan and Fairs are battling into that chicane there. We had a wet F2 race yesterday and it looks like we're having a wet F1 race here today. As they all go into the hairpin now. Is that damage on Josh's wing? Could that be damage, perhaps? He is missing an end plate. He is indeed missing an end plate on the left-hand side, which isn't going to help him in the long term of this race. Will Kyle be able to go to the move? Doesn't look like Kyle's going to be able to do it. As the field coming down here, as it is side by side between Thomas and Charlie. Into the chicane. Charlie trying to defend that inside line. Trying just to avoid the contact. And looks like Charlie has defended. As going back down, as he's on the inside line, Thomas going to the outside line. Robert looking like he may want to go for a move here. Looks like he's going to get it. Is he? Up the inside of Thomas goes Robert. Will he get the position? Yes, he does. Looking further up the field, James is on the back of Godzilla. Can James get that lead back? As there's yellow flags in sector 2, and that's a collision further down the field. It looks like Riceman, Miguel, and possibly Bunny still on dry tyres. What are they doing? What are they doing? They're so far back. That's just not smart to stay out on dries. And as far as I'm aware, the rain's only going to get worse. I doubt I mean, there's no way the rain can, like, the rain stops now and it suddenly goes to dry. They're still in last place. They're 28 seconds off the back of the pack. They're not getting back in this race. Bunnies, unless there's a safety car, that's the end of their race. James, in these wet conditions, not quite able to get Godzilla. Could we see possibly a third race winner this season? As Kyle battling with Josh into turn 1. These two wheel to wheel again. Kyle, oh, he's gone a bit deep. That allows Josh to get back around the outside, but with the wing damage, he's not going to be able to hold it around the outside. Giving Jarno a good chance now. Is it enough for chance? Doesn't look like it as Robert gets ahead of his teammate. Now Thomas trying to have a look at it here. Can they stay on the circuit as we have yellow flags in sector 1? Was there contact further back down the field? I think there may have been. As everyone's sliding through that corner. How there hasn't been a major crash yet, I do not know. As everyone in this group of cars, within about half a second of the car in front of them, all the way up until Kyle, who leads this train of cars. With no DRS, it's looking like it's definitely helping Godzilla lead this race. Godzilla is actually pushing out a lead. But I'm guessing James is pushing. James is actually not that much better on ERS than Godzilla. And I know from last season, James, when he's stuck behind someone, he doesn't constantly go for the move. He doesn't keep pushing for it. He just brings everything down. He backs down. He lowers his engine modes. But it doesn't look like he's quite doing that here. He's going into none through the middle sector, but pushing it down the straight still. So I really don't know what he's planning on doing here. As it is Jarno, wheel to wheel here with Josh for 7th place. Jarno going to the inside line. Will there be contact? They were close to contact. Jarno gets the move as Josh goes slightly wide. Josh dropping down the order. Could he drop out the points here with his minor wing damage? Robert will be the next one, then it will be Charlie. Charlie has still got Thomas right on the back of him and a massive train of cars behind him. All the way down to Bogdan. Although Bogdan is the first of the drivers not to be part of the train. Fair's the last driver to sort of be connected within it. James now within 3/10 at the front of the pack. Is he close enough? As it's just with multiple warnings penalty there. Freverson up in 5th. Has Freverson scored any points yet this season? I don't think they have. So Freverson definitely struggling here. Bunny's still, as Bunny's does now pit. And they're going to go a lap down here. I think Bunny's is going to go a lap down. Which is not the best, but what can you do? So Freverson currently in a good points position as James still not going for the move. Manu dropping back slightly, Branny dropping back slightly, Freverson dropping back slightly, Kyle catching, Jarno staying in a good gap, and these guys all starting to have a bit of a gap between them, but Robert is now on the back of Josh. Josh doing his best to try and get points for the Red Bull team, but can he do it? He has got Robert on the back of him. Robert, will he go to the inside line? He will go to the inside line. Can he pull it off? As Josh goes wide, and he's all over the curb there, and there's no way he can defend from that position, and he has lost the place. Next car to pass him will be Charlie. But can he? These conditions. I wonder, as Robert does get a 3-second time penalty. That's not great, but I imagine we'll see a lot of penalties as that is Kimi. Kimi's made a mistake. He's got heavy wing damage. Kimi has dropped down the order. Ferrari, it's not their day. They do not look anywhere near as comfortable in the wet. And Bunny's has indeed been lapped by about half the field at this stage, which isn't what you like to see. But what we do like to see is Godzilla leading the race. I believe this could be his first ever lead of a race. The craziness in Baku got him P10. The craziness here has got him P1 so far, and we're 10 laps into the race. Wet race around Canada, they're never going to be your average race. Just look at real life and in race and in sim racing. Both ways, like 2011 Canadian Grand Prix. Another league that races on the F1 games, the Elite Drivers League. They had a race around Canada. That was a crazy race. They had a surprise podium there. Which for that league, a surprise podium is a very big thing, because they have quite a gap between their top drivers and then sort of the mid-pack. James now sort of, he's definitely, yeah, James, look at the ERS difference, about 40 to 50%. Actually more like, around 40%. As that is, who's that? It's Kimi. He's crashed. How has he done that? Has he hit the back of someone? As he now heads into the pit lane with absolutely no wing? What has happened to Kimi in this race? This is not the race Kimi will be looking for so far, but a safety car could change everything, as we know in motorsport. As Kimi pits to the wet tyres. Kimi is pit onto the wet compound tyres. Let's keep an eye on his lap times. As Sector 2 yellow. It's Josh. Josh has made it. It's Josh. What's happened to Josh? He spun. Josh has spun in the Red Bull. He was in the points and now he's out of them. What is Red Bull? I think they're just allergic to points positions. I really don't know. Is Miguel missing half a wing in 15th place? What is this? These cars have just... What is happening in this race? We're seeing good drivers like Miguel and Kimi dropping down the order with damage. It's not your average race. But I guess that's just Canada. let's keep an eye on Kimmy's gap to Josh. Actually, keep an eye on Kimmy's always there, is battling there into the hairpin. As there's a pack going up here, and that's Charlie. I believe that's him losing the place to Ivan. As, oh, that's Fairs with a great exit. He's going to get past Thomas here, surely into turn 1. What an exit Fairs got. Can he go for it? He's not going to go for it, though. As you have a yellow flag in sector 2. And that is Kimmy, who has gone straight on at the second chicane. Let's go on board. As Godzilla has got James still upright behind him. What has happened to Kimmy here? And Kimmy is still going. But it has left the session. What's happened there to Kimmy? That's either he's left the car going or it's a retirement on track. Either way, that's a big penalty. And it is a retirement on circuit. That is a major, that's a quali ban for the next race for Kimmy. Unless he isn't in the next race. In that case, it will transfer to the race after that. Because I believe that Kimmy does struggle with the Wednesday. I don't know if he makes all the Wednesday races, if any of them. He has been doing alright so far this season, but I know at the start of the season that could have been an issue. As got further battling down the field as Fairs now wheel to wheel with Charlie down the back straight. Charlie in battles all through this race. He's a reserve driver for the Renault team, replacing Tim for this one round. He won the sprint race in F2 yesterday around the streets of Canada in a dry to wet race. So he knows what he's doing in these wet conditions, but at this stage it doesn't look like he's having a great race. Falling back past some of the other drivers, but with a mixed up grid, what do you expect? 12th is still a solid position for a reserve driver. The other reserves who were in this race are Bunnies and are Riceman, and they are 14th and 18th, so still top of the reserves. As Thomas, that does now mean Thomas is in the points, but surely Fair's going to take that away. Once again, Red Bull are going to lose out on points surely here, as Miguel is in the pit lane for a fresh set of intermediates. He has pitted for wing damage, assuming. And Josh, looks like Josh is going to beat him out. As at the front of the paddles, there's close battling here between Robert and Yano for the 7th position. This midfield scrap is very big in this race. Will Yano go back to the inside? No, sensibly he sticks back. As Robert goes quite wide there at the hairpin, which is a very big issue in these wet conditions, but the exit he'll get will be worth it. Not really, not overall it won't be worth it, but it's not bad enough for you to completely ruin your race on it. Will Yano go to the inside? Yano is having a look to the inside, but backs out of it, going into the final chicane. Just trying to keep it on circuit is what these drivers are doing, and it's successfully doing. As Kyle is now on the back of Freversin. Not going to go for it into turn 1. Oh, Freversin goes wide. Where will Kyle go? Will he go for the switchback here? It's very hard to go for a switchback in a corner like this. Can he pull it off? He's going to look, but he's not going to succeed. It's not really a corner to go for a move there. You need to be already alongside coming out of the last corner, or the driver in front be on dries in wet conditions, really. Otherwise, there is no way you're getting past into that chicane. Although Freversin is struggling a lot here. Both on the same age tyres, but Freversin must have had a good start through the turns 1 and 2. Sorry that you missed that, and sorry that you won't have a clue what sort of the grid was going to be looking like. But yeah, as I said, technical issues, what can I do? So instead we had a safety car start after 2 corners. We had 2 corners, then we had a safety car. So, as Freversin goes wide at the hairpin. Kyle still doesn't quite look like he has the grip to pass him. Freversin appears to be struggling, but Kyle, although he doesn't look like he's struggling, doesn't seem to be in the best position. Although Freversin isn't pushing on the ERS, but he has got more of it than Kyle. As Freversin lets Kyle through at the chicane, but Kyle's struggling, Freversin gets a penalty. A multiple warnings penalty. That's going to put Robert on the back of him now. Down towards turn 1. Not going to be able to go for it there. As it's still a half a second gap at the front of the field. These are the sort of battles we saw last season with Fairs and James, not Godzilla and James. Godzilla, we're only currently 16th in the championship. James currently 2nd in the championship. Tim isn't making this race. He was not able to do it. So this was James' best chance of getting a massive point advantage. But it doesn't look like he's quite going to be able to maximise it at this stage of the race. He does have quite a bit more ERS though. But if I was Godzilla, I'd be backing off as well. In the places where you don't think James can overtake, back off as well. 'Cause you can't let him get that ERS advantage, because that's what he did to Fairs last season multiple times. And that's why Fairs doesn't have a race win yet in Torpedo League. Manu in third, kind of in a world of his own here. McLaren doing a great job in P4 and P5 at the moment, but Kyle's position doesn't look too certain, as he's got Forever Sin, Robert and Jarno all quite close to the back of him, and Ivan catching at the moment. Doesn't like Forever Sin has quite got the pace down the straight to go for a move into the final chicane. Robert just watching at the moment, maybe being a bit more careful. No, he's not being too aggressive on ERS, but he's not being too conservative, so he's fairly average at this stage. Robert, one of the drivers you would expect to be seeing up near the podium positions, not necessarily on it, but definitely near it. Currently third in the championship, I believe Robert is, or around there in the championship, sort of in the fight for those sorts of positions. He's not quite got the pace of his teammate Tim, but he definitely is a solid rear gunner, similar to how Fairs is, although Fairs hasn't shown it yet this season, currently down in 11th place. Fairs not having a great season. He's definitely nothing like the season he had last season with Renault. A lot of people thought going into the season that his move to Mercedes would be the unbeatable team, but it's not looking that way so far. As there's a big train of cars here, just heading through the chicane, all stuck behind Kyle. Although I would say they're more stuck behind Forever Sin than they are Kyle. Just Kyle struggling to pull away at the moment from Forever Sin, as Forever Sin almost looked like he was going to slide it through that corner, the speed he was taking there. As down the back straight they go. Any other battles down the field? They're all fairly close, but none obvious battles, as Bunnies gets a 3-second time penalty. Hate to say it, but I don't think that'll be affecting them today. They have almost a minute off the car in front of them. And around a circuit like Canada, where to be fair, it's wet, so the lap times are in, well, around the 122s, 121, 122s, then he's not that far off from getting lapped by the entire field. However, a safety car could change that in the blink of an eye. Robert still all over the back of Forever Sin. Let's see on board. Forever Sin seems like he's pushing a bit more. Robert seems a bit calmer behind the wheel. He's not going offline, he's just keeping to his racing line, keeping nice and calm. Whereas Forever Sin looks like they're pushing to their absolute limit. I would assume there would be one more pit stop in this race, but if there's going to be a pit stop, you'd expect it to be around about now, so I'm not expecting a necessary pit stop at this stage. I'm not sure though. There may be a pit stop, there may not be. Those like Miguel and Josh, as I say, Miguel, he's pitting now. Robert has hit the back of Forever Sin going to the hairpin, but very aggressive defensive there from Forever Sin, so sort of a 6 of one, half dozen of the other going into that corner. As James and Godzilla wheel to wheel through turn 2, will Godzilla hold him off? He's doing absolutely everything he can. James, is he going to back out of it? Godzilla pushing on his ERS. James not so much. As they head into the chicane, James does not make the move stick, as cars are starting to pit, so it is going to be another pit stop in this race for most of the field. Now, if I'm Godzilla, I'm thinking I need to pit now, because you don't want to let James get the undercut. But at the same time, you're thinking, is it possible to not pit? Wet tyres and the rain tyres last very long. It's whether he'll need to pit or not. That's the question. Just whilst we're watching this battle, a lot of the drivers are wearing black helmets in support of the Black Lives Matter. So yeah, Torpedo League obviously in support of Black Lives Matter. And thank you to some of the drivers for wearing those. It wasn't a mandatory. They have suggested the idea. They were the ones that thought it would be a good idea, and we agreed. As James still following Godzilla at this stage. As James with a 5-second time penalty exceeding track limits. That's big. That's very big. But maybe he's doing that just to try and get a run. No, he isn't. He's in non-ERS. You've got to think if he pushed that little bit more, he'd have the position. You've got to think that surely. As he comes out of there into the chicane, as more and more cars are in the pit lane, and they're staying on intermediate tyres, so it doesn't look like we're going to see wet tyres here. Kyle though, Kyle on the wet compound tyres, Is he catching? Is he losing time? It looks like he's losing time more than he's catching time. As he pits, is he going? He's going back onto the inters. He's risked it, and he's not done the right decision there. Good job on the risk, not so great on the reward. So he now pits, and it's a double stack, so the team will take their time there with Kyle. As Thomas possibly could get a point here. He's not far, he's in 11th at the moment, but knowing Red Bull's luck so far this season, he won't get it. As Godzilla and James still haven't pitted. There is still approximately 16 laps left in this race for Godzilla and James. Will they pit? So now would be the perfect pit window. And he doesn't. Will James pit? James does not pit, as Godzilla gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Now usually with the stream, some of the drivers may hear these, because I know a couple of drivers may listen to the stream. However, because we are not streaming it, they cannot hear as Manu is pitting. Could Manu be going for a major undercut here, maybe trying to get most of the field? To be honest, I think now that basically the rest of the field has pitted, apart from Fairs and Charlie, I think if their tyre wear isn't at risk of a puncture, I think staying out could be the best idea. But if I'm James, I'm thinking do the opposite of Godzilla. Actually not, if I'm James, I'm thinking I'm pitting. I know I'm quicker, so if he pits, I can get him on track later in the race. If he doesn't pit, I can, the pit stop will give me the fresher tyres, I'll be able to catch him because I'm the quicker driver, and I'll be able to pass him that way because his tyres will be dead. As we do have yellow flag in Sector 1, what has happened there? Is that an issue with Robert? I don't know if that was, but there's a lot of cars there. As Riceman and Thomas both went straight on there. That's Josh, sorry, not Thomas. You have a Red Bull. As Thomas is now up into 9th place. As look at the lead these leaders have now, 20 seconds. As James into the pit lane, he did what I thought he would do. He's pitting now. 2 questions. Well, it's a very short pit lane, so the pit stop's surely the better option here. Now, surely if you're Godzilla, you got to think. It's like Verstappen Hamilton 2019 Hungary. If the staying out option is an option, you'd go for it. Because pitting now, it will give him the undercut. Oh! Wait a minute. Am I completely wrong? I could be completely wrong. As James is going to come out in traffic behind Manu. As James is wide. James is wide and he's lost a lot of time there. That's terrible for James. If I'm Godzilla, I'm thinking box this lap. Because he doesn't know that James is having these issues. He may do, though. He may do. If he's speaking with some of the other drivers that may have seen it, then he may know. I believe he may be talking with Manu at the time. Manu may have seen James struggling, or at least know that he's behind him. And this could even be Manu's race lead if Godzilla pits here and comes out behind. And what a race that would be. As heading down the main straight. Will Godzilla pit? Godzilla pits. Will he speed? He speeds! Godzilla speeds! 5-second time penalty speeding in the pit lane. There it goes. There goes the win for Godzilla. He's thrown it away in one pit stop. That was not what you wanted to see. I can't really talk, but as someone that's known for speeding into the pit lane, but still, I wanted to see an epic race here, and it doesn't look like we may not see it. I mean, look at it was way off. He went into the pit lane about 70 miles per hour. And look at the lead he has. He didn't need to do that. He had no. Look at the gap. It wasn't even like if he didn't speed, he was going to lose the place. But however, he does have a 7-second gap. Let's take this moment of brief quiet to go. Let's look through all the penalties. Let's go Godzilla. 8 seconds of penalties. Manu, 3 seconds. So there's a 5-second gap there. So maybe Manu could win it. James, just a 5-second time penalty. So he has a 3-second advantage over Godzilla, unless he gets another penalty. Then they're equal. So let's stick with the top guys for now. A safety car. I've missed a safety car. So sorry, everyone. As I do not know what has caused the safety car. If anyone wants to, I was going to say if anyone wants to tell me, I'm not streaming. So we do have a safety car now, as Bunny's in the pit lane. What happened? Godzilla, he has to pit. Godzilla has to pit, serve his penalty, and have a chance at the win here. And he doesn't. He doesn't pit. He's gone. Surely the win is gone. That's not what you would expect to see. I'd be pitting, serving my penalty, and then at least I have a chance. But with the safety car, it's going to put Manu and James on the back of him. If James can get past Manu, we know James is quicker from the first stint of the tyres. So James, all James has to do, he's got a 3-second gap. Godzilla could have pulled it back so that he was the driver who had the advantage. He could have been on the same penalties as Manu. But maybe at the same time, if he is slower than both of those drivers, which I don't think he is looking at where Manu was in that first stint, then maybe it is the right decision to stay out. It's how he's feeling in the car. Personally, I'd be pitting, because then at least you have a chance, because he wouldn't have lost more than 2 places. He would have been on the back of James. Then at least he would have that opportunity to go for an overtake. With Manu in front, it looked like he was quicker than Manu. It looks like Manu holding him up, as that is Bunny's alongside there, I believe. I don't quite know what that's going on there. But at least then he would have that opportunity. He would be good on penalties. As Miguel has retired. Where has Miguel retired? It is in Sector 2. There's the next car to go through is Renault, and it's the Renault of Charlie. And Miguel has crashed under safety car. Was that only came up just then? So I don't think that was what the cause of the safety car was, but who knows? Weirder things have happened. We have seen in Torpedo League random safety cars before. We did see them F2 Azerbaijan. There was a safety car that came out for no apparent reason, which changed the shape of the race completely. However, this race, behind the safety car, this kind of might be what this race needs. Just a moment for all the drivers to close back in. Because there were battles at the start when they were all close, but as the drivers started to mix up again, like unmix themselves, the racing calmed down. But from a racing perspective, this safety car can only mean good things. As the field going up through Sector 1 now. We'll now wait until the safety car comes in. And I don't believe many people have pitted under the safety car. I believe it may only be Bunnies. But they have only just passed Miguel, despite Miguel being out of the race. Yeah, this is why I'm thinking now, Bunnies, stay on those drives early in the race. Completely wrong decision. Like, he could be, yeah, he wouldn't be in the top position, but he would at least be in a decent position. He would be at the back of the pack, yes, maybe. But at least he would actually be able to improve from there. From here now, he's not going to finish anywhere other than last of the finishers. And that's assuming he finishes. As safety car doesn't look like it's coming in this lap, but it maybe just taking its time. The pack isn't all together yet, so it makes sense it wouldn't come in this lap. So Godzilla leading the race, Manu in second, James third, Branny still in fourth. He's been pretty comfortably there all race. Robert in fifth, that's a very good recovery drive for him. Ferguson in sixth, good solid points here for this could be good solid points and get his first points of the season. Talking about first points of the season, it's Thomas behind him in seventh. Both of these drivers just looking for points. They're not looking for much, just points. As Yana behind, Ivan then in ninth, Fez in 10th as Josh gets a penalty for speeding the pits. The reason why, even if it's just a few points, is so crucial is because the 5 people currently in the relegation zone are currently all on 0 points, and the first driver outside of the relegation zone is on just 1 point. Although, looking at how this race is going, that could very much change, seeing as they are currently leading the race. The driver who is in 16th in the championship, currently leading it. So I think, worst case scenario, they get a good result. Thinking back to last season, Godzilla's best chart, but the best result opportunity I saw was Germany last season, when I'm fairly sure they were on the right strategy, and at one point they looked like they could be a possible podium contender. In the end, they didn't get it, and I think they just got a few points. but it was the fact they were a possible podium contender. That was the best they got. Currently, they've led most of this race, as the safety car is now on its way to the pit lane. Godzilla backing up the pack. What's going to happen here? As they're about 4 or 5 wide down the back straight. I didn't know you could get that wide. Godzilla with the lap car at Bonnie's right there as Godzilla's gone. Godzilla has now gone into the final chicane and leads the race still. Manu in second, James in third as the pack comes through that final chicane. Is anyone going to bin into the Wall of Champions? Someone's in the pit lane, and that is the McLaren of Kyle. They must have broke their wing at the safety car restart, as that's James going up into second place there. Manu losing out, and now he's got Branny on the back. Oh, but James, it must have been a legal overtake, because James must have let him back through there. Yellow flag sector 1, it's a Toro Rosso, and it's Bunnies. Bunnies is letting the field through, which is causing the yellow flags there. Which means cars won't be able to overtake in that corner, which isn't great. As that's a Red Bull of Josh, who has a spun. They must have spun there in the first sector there. Godzilla leading this race with a 2.5 second advantage. Manu has a 5-second penalty advantage over Godzilla at this stage. But who knows what happened on the safety car, because I wasn't really following the amount of penalties that were given. I doubt Godzilla got any being in the lead, but who knows about that behind. But to begin with, we'll look into the hairpin as battling all down the field. Branny just trying to hold off Robert. It's not doing very well at the stage, as Robert is all over the back of him. Branny is going to really struggle down the back straight. Robert going for this P4. He's quick enough, but can he make the overtake stick? He's going down the inside into the final chicane. He goes for it. Branny forced off the road, but that's the final chicane for you there. Not much you can do about it, but Branny going to fight back. Down towards turn 1. Thomas looking at Forever Sin in the background. As they're wheel to wheel. Robert and Branny through turns 1 and 2. Thomas going very wide at turn 2 there. Branny loses out to Robert, but he's going to fight back. Branny is going to fight back towards the chicane. Will he go for it? He backs out. Meanwhile, Forever Sin and Thomas were appearing to battle, but it looks like they've calmed down slightly here, as there's some massive train of cars here, all in the fight 4 points positions. Back to the front, James still stuck behind Manu, and James with only a 3-second. James has a 3-second time penalty advantage, I believe, to Godzilla, and Manu has a 5-second time penalty advantage to Godzilla. I believe that's correct, which means, okay, for as I remember, James, that's a 2-second penalty advantage to Manu. So that could be interesting, as Robert continues to lead into the hairpin, as Bogdan has made a move on Fairs into the hairpin here. All Fairs has lost out, as Charlie in this battle too. Charlie battling with Bogdan and Fairs. They're so close to contact down the back straight, as the track looks very dry now. The track looks dry tyres. The track looks dry. I would be pitting for dries at this stage, as Charlie does come into the pit lane now. This track looks bone dry. I'm going to go on board with some of the other cars to see, as that's another car. Oh no, it's just still. Oh no, it is. It's just has come to the pit lane now. I think it's dry. Looking at this, it's bone dry. This track. Why are not more cars pitting? Why aren't they doing? This track is bone dry from a commentator's perspective. It is not wet tyres track right now. Charlie's gone to the medium, as maybe being a bit more conservative there, as Kyle and It's Just both gone to the soft tyres. It depends how long those softs last. I don't know how long they last around here, so the drivers, I'm sure, will make the decision that is best for them. Now, let's have a look now at Charlie in the Renault. Are they struggling? How are they doing on these tyres? They look quick. They look very quick on those tyres. They're sliding a bit, but considering they are brand new mediums on what was originally a wet circuit, they look good at the moment. Let's have a look. How quick are they going? They're still pushing pretty hard, and the rear doesn't seem too snappy. As James getting up past Manu, and they both go into the pit lane. James gets hit by Manu, and looks like they've just about kept it. James, as Godzilla is going to serve his penalty, and so is James. Manu's going to take the lead here. Manu is going to take the lead of the race. However, James will have no penalties after this pit stop, as James has the lead anyway. James has the lead anyway. Manu in second. Now, where will the driver who pitted last lap for the medium tyres, Charlie, come out here? Where is he going to come out? He pitted a lap earlier than everyone else. Oh, he's flying up the field. He's absolutely flying up the field. As he sets the fastest lap of the race, he's up into 5th. Where will he come out? He's going to be battling here. He's going to be in the battle for 7th. Wheel to wheel with Thomas as they come out the pit lane. They've all come out on the softs, Charlie on the mediums. They look better compared on the Renault car, to be honest, but maybe that's not what you look for at this stage of the race. But Charlie obviously made a late call, which is why he didn't maybe change to the soft tyres. As he now goes up the inside of Thomas. Thomas pushed slightly wide, but all legal there. As Thomas loses position to Charlie. Charlie back up to 7th place. Him pitting that lap earlier has worked a treat there for him. As meanwhile, up at the front of the field, James has taken the lead as yellow flag sector 2. It's Robert. What's happened to Robert? He's had an incident. It looks like he was in the wall there. Maybe he's spun because he's only got minor wing damage. That puts Charlie up into 6th place. Potential driver of the day here. That and Godzilla. We've got some big names down the order, and we've got some slightly lesser known drivers up the order. As James does go quickest, it does look like James is going to get the win here today. But Godzilla, Godzilla has a free second tyre balance, so does Manu. These two are genuinely in the fight here for 2nd place. As Branny and Freverson wheel to wheel towards turn 1. Freverson trying to take the inside line. Branny with a penalty. As they go through turn 2, Branny going around the outside. Freverson not quite able to get their nose in there. Or can they dive it? Not quite go for it there. As they all file through here now. Charlie on the back of this battle now. On the medium, you've got to think if he had pitted for those softs, he'd be so much better here. Could maybe even be right in the fight. But at the moment, Branny is struggling. Both of these guys are struggling. It really could go any way here. With just 6 laps, well, 5.5 laps left in this race for the midfield guys. As that's Charlie straight on. Charlie's gone straight on there. Where's he going to rejoin? He's going to rejoin just in front of Thomas. Thomas is going to want to try and get this position into the hairpin. Will there be contact? Not quite as Charlie goes deep. Charlie really struggling here as he's going to try and defend, and he's lost the position to Thomas. But the exit he will get will be good down the back straight. As Manu on the back of Godzilla, not going to go for it into the chicane. Further down the order is wheel to wheel for 4th place. Freverson, he's going to the inside line. He's going to make the move. Can he make it stick? He can, as that's Freverson now up into 4th place. Then it is Branny 5th, Thomas 6th, Charlie 7th, 8th. Jarno is battling there between Charlie and Thomas. Not quite. So close, these midfield runners. Manu, speaking of close, Manu on the back of Godzilla here. These guys so close. James just pulling out a gap at the front. James just doing a James at this stage of the race. How much better can he go? How much quicker can he go? As Charlie wheel to wheel with Jarno. Oh, Jarno's gone round. Jarno, was there contact there? I did not see any myself, but that did look like maybe a touch of tyres, but I didn't catch that incident. So I don't really know what happened there. But Charlie is now in a safer 7th place, as Fares in 10th. He has got Robert behind him. As this midfield battle here, we've got Branny, Thomas. As look at Manu here, all over the back of Godzilla towards turn 1. Will he go for the move? He's going to go to the outside line towards turn 1 for 2nd place. Could we have a change of position here? Godzilla doing his best to defend, but can he? He's going to try and hang it around the outside. Is he going to go for it? He's not going to be able to defend. As Ferguson now still holding off. Oh, it's contact! Contact further back down there, as that was Charlie and Branny colliding. Doesn't look like there's damage either side there, so it looks all good. As Robert is pitted. Robert is out of this race, surely, as he is pitting down in 16th place. So it looks like Robert is definitely not necessarily retiring, doesn't look like it, but definitely not going to improve much here. As the other flag sectors 1 or 2, as Ivan has retired. What's happened to Ivan here? As Ivan is in the middle of the circuit. What I missed that, hopefully his car doesn't disappear before Robert gets there, but what has happened to Ivan, as he had some sort of terminal issue on his car, gearbox issue, he's just stuck in the middle of the circuit. Oh, I thought he was going to get hit then, but it did like a suspension was broken, so he must have gone wide. But no safety car, as Manu and Godzilla Look like there's a bit of a gap forming there. As Forever Sin continues to lead, coming out of the chicane. But will there be any more changes of position? As Ivan leaves the session. Not happy with that. As it looks closer here between Branny and Charlie. Oh, Branny struggling on the traction. But still those softs better than those mediums. I really don't have a clue whose driver of the day is going to be. It's really going to be based off of grid positions, to be honest here. And obviously based on their race pace. Because I don't know where Godzilla started. Because I missed qualifying because of the technical issue. Although that is Charlie. All over the back of Branny and has got the position. Charlie up into 5th place. As further back it is Thomas, wheel to wheel with Jarno. Is in front of them it is Branny and wheel to wheel with Charlie. As Jarno gets past Thomas. Jarno flying here. Already back past Thomas and charging up the order. As it's wheel to wheel into the hairpin between Branny and Charlie. Branny looks like he sent it to the inside line. Charlie trying to defend. But he's not quite able to do it as we go on board here. As he's got the DRS. Oh, I don't think he does have DRS down the straight. No, he doesn't. It's going to be really painful because Jarno's behind him. And that is Jarno going to the inside of Charlie. Will there be any contact? No contact there by the looks of things. Jarno settles behind, but Jarno is going to have a massive run onto the straight now. And he's going to go to the outside line. He's going to go to the outside line here of Charlie. He's going to go round the outside. Jarno to the outside, and he's made the move stick. That is Charlie down to 7th place. As yellow flag sector 1, it's Fairs. It's Fairs who spun down at turn 1. Now that's dropped him outside of the points. With 2 laps to go, he's outside of the points. As Thomas with a 3-second time penalty. Could Thomas get points here today? These results could change so much after this checkered flag drops. Because of penalties. Oh, this is a crazy, crazy race. I'm so disappointed we can't stream this thing. And if we can't actually show it, I'll be even more disappointed as a video. But yeah, if you're watching this, it's already been successful. As it is now very sunny on this. It's actually now sunny. That's how much this race has changed. It is now a sunny circuit here in Montreal. We had a miserable qualifying session. Then a fairly miserable race start. But now it is beautiful skies in Montreal here. As Charlie wheel to wheel with Thomas. The 2 drivers that I don't say their PSNs. Because it's easier to call them by their actual names. But that isn't going to be a thing for much of the field. That's only going to be a few drivers, just as an idea. Just for the ones that it's easier to say. Some of them, like Forever Sin, complicated name to say, but I probably won't change the way to the actual name, which is Scott, because I've commentated a season of calling them Forever Sins. I'm used to it. It's the ones I'm not used to saying, so that's why it's easier to say Thomas for Why I Always Pips, because last season it was Ginger Thomas. Speaking of Thomas, all over the back of Charlie still. Maybe vote in the comments what you prefer. Or I might even do a poll. I might do a poll. And you can tell me what you prefer. As Thomas still not able to go for the move into the hairpin. Branny on the back of Forever Sin. Down the straight here. Forever Sin trying to get these 12 points. To get out of the relegation zone. As across the finish line now, James takes the win for Mercedes. Very good result there for him. As Godzilla gets 2nd on penalties. Manu 3rd. Branny. Looks like Branny's going to get 4th. As Thomas is retired. Thomas is retired. What's happened? Thomas has crashed. At the final chicane, Thomas has crashed. I don't believe it. Red Bull. What? As further up the order is Branny in 4th. Jarno in 5th. Forever Sin 6th. Then it is Crashaw in 7th. There's getting 8th. Kyle in 9th. Bogdan to get Toro Rosso's first full-time driver points. In 10th, there's Bogdan. Riceman, the reserve, in 11th. Josh in 12th. It's Justin 13th. Robert Dornbos across the line in 13th. As then it is Bunnies to come through the final chicane. He's not even going to beat Thomas because he's 2 laps down. As across the line goes Bunnies to take 16th place, and Thomas, in a solid points position, crashes at the final chicane. What a finish, guys. So now we wait for the final order to decide on who driver of the day will go to. As we see the podium now, James up on the top step with Godzilla getting his first podium in Torpedo League F1, and with second place, very good result there for him. Very much a Pierre Gasly moment. Manu getting third. He's not had the best of seasons so far for the driver who finished third last season, but third place in this race definitely will boost his chances. Let's skip through these menus here as we go to the final finishing order. Godzilla did actually start second, so Godzilla starting second, finishing second. The top three all stayed in positions actually. But who will I give driver of the day to? Looking at the field, it's going to be the driver of what it was going to be. It's going to be him. It's got to go to Charlie from 17th to 7th. This is only his second ever driver's reserve, and he's done a great job at taking Tim's place, and beats the best reserve finish of season 2, which was 9th, which was taken by I think three times by drivers. So now, not quite. I don't know what the top was last. I think 7th was the best reserve position last season. So he's matched that. Yeah, driver of the day goes to Charlie in the Renault Crashaw. And that is your race, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've all enjoyed this one. I certainly have. What a race. Again, apologies that it couldn't be streamed, but technical difficulties. I'm just glad I can upload this to YouTube. I hope you all enjoyed. But until next time, goodbye.